Welcome to the Switch4Good podcast. I'm Alexandra Paul, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Dotsie Bausch. Hi, Dotsie.
Hello, hello. Here we are again. We keep
know,
doing this.
We had a little break because you went on vacay for a week.
I did.
Tell me about it.
Kirk and I went to the Caribbean. We did a little Caribbean cruise, stopped in St. Lucia and Grenada and Bequia, which I've never been to any of those islands actually. So it was just that crystal blue water that is just so epic. I burned the crap out of my back snorkeling for way too long because I guess the sunscreen rolled off. But we had such an extraordinary time trying all of the vegan food. I tell you,
on the cruise, are you saying, or on the islands?
So the islands had some vegan restaurants. Amazing. Grenada had an incredible one.
Did you use happycow.net to find them? Or
I used some Happy Cow, but we also I just ran into some, Irie dudes on the island, and they just, the most of them are vegan. Because that's really what they preach, right? Mm-hmm. Is peace and love and generosity, and so all the Irie guys, we just would you just go up to anyone with dreads.
What's Irie?
Well, it's chill, peace. I'm sure there's an actual specific definition that I don't know that I will look up when we stop this today. But it's like IRIE.
Oh, okay.
So Rasta guys, Irie. That's kind of I think it's kind of like their groove is their Irie. So I just would go up to anyone with dreads and ask for the vegan restaurants, and they just knew. So I got used to it. I would just find and so we went to Vegan Vibes in Grenada. But the crazy thing was on the cruise. The cruise was not vegan. It was a small cruise line, only about 200 people. So us and then everyone else over 65 who were not vegan. And so, we told them, and it was planned ahead and everything. And it got just extraordinary. The challenge that the chef was enjoying taking on, making epic meals for us every night.
Wow.
I mean, we had beet risotto with fennel. We had stuffed eggplant. I mean, he kind of just kept coming up with new things each night, because I think they would go to the stores when they were in the different islands. And so then, they were doing, then they did orange tofu. And I mean, it was like every night it just got better and better, to the point where people at our table were like, I want that.
Yeah.
We want that, right? It was better than what they were serving.
Even on vacation, Dotsie, you're spreading the vegan word.
Yes.
You are amazing.
We ate too much. I'm a blob, so I got to get back into it. But anyway.
Well, I'm excited for our guest today because he doesn't have dreads. Far from it.
No, exactly.
But if you talk to him, he will tell you where there are great restaurants all around the world, vegan restaurants. So
44 countries, I hear.
Yeah.
And he's been vegan longer than both of us combined.
Right.
Times maybe 4. It's incredible. So Bill Muir is our guest today. And Bill was teaching English in Japan when he decided to join the Army after the tragedies of 9/11. He became a paratrooper who served as a medic with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. He's also, as we mentioned, a longtime vegan who has a certification in vegan culinary arts. So he could probably teach cooking on these cruise ships if you need something else to do with your time, because you're not busy at all. And he managed, this is amazing, to eat a plant-based diet during his deployment in Afghanistan with little help from vegans all over the world. These days, Sergeant Vegan, as he's known, is still involved with the military as a registered nurse working at the VA Medical Center in West Los Angeles, which where he was last night, up all night working, and came to be with us here this morning. So we're pretty honored. He's also the author of the book Vegan Strong, which we're going to talk about that. Bill has traveled to 44 countries, all while maintaining his plant-based diet. And so he's proof that you can maintain your health and your ethics no matter your circumstance. And we can't wait to dive in and hear more. So thank you so much, Bill, for coming and staying up all night and still coming this morning to hang out with us, because you haven't slept in how many hours?
It's been about 24 hours now.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay.
Well, feel free to have some sustenance if you get hungry during this.
I got a banana just in case I need it. Also, before we begin, it's actually 47 countries.
Oh.
I must have said that, like
5 years ago or something. Okay.
So we're at 47.
We try to do our best research, but
I've
I
been
should
trying to push it to 50, but right now I'm just concentrating on the book and only traveling when it has something to do with the book.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
confident you'll get to 50, Bill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if not more. I want to go into some of your history, but first let's just deal with that because that is, I think, the barrier for so many people. Like, oh, being vegan is so hard. It's so hard when I travel. It's so hard in airports. It's so hard in certain types of countries, right, that are meat-centric countries, maybe say like Latin America or certain places in Europe. So 47 countries
47
you've been
countries.
to as a vegan.
Yes.
So what's the secret?
There is none, really. I think there's a couple ways to look at it. Number one, practically always have a plan no matter what you do. So when I was in Afghanistan, even if we just roll out of our little forward operating base, we would have a plan in case this happens, that happens. In the case of going out to eat in, say, Belize, you want to know where you're going, what you're going to get. You don't want to just show up hungry. So you're going to always have food with you, whether it's snacks or something easy. You're going to know, okay, here's the supermarket. Well, hey, let's grab some bananas. Let's grab some nuts. Let's grab some, oh, hey, that's vegan. Let's grab that too. So you always have food with you. And then you're not really always, and then you're not at the point where you're starving. And I think that's where people get out of control. They're starving. Then they either binge or then they start to think, oh, well, this is too hard being vegan.
Planning and bringing snacks with you. That's
And they're not starving because they're vegan. Let's just be clear about that. They're starving because they haven't found something for the last 10 hours or something.
And it might be a little tough if you don't know your way around, say, Japan. And you're like, what do I do? What do I do? A lot of these places like Japan, I used to live in Japan, so I know my way around most places in Japan, and it's not a problem. And I read Japanese. But for someone that doesn't, then in the case of having a plan, it would be about having Happy Cow app on your phone and then knowing where you can get the internet so you can use said Happy Cow app and things like that. And knowing what the easy snack food there is to get in almost any convenience store and things like that.
So what was the hardest country for you to find to eat vegan? Or I mean, most food, we need to really be clear that most food is vegan, that people eat vegan throughout the day. And they just add meat and dairy into it, right?
Pretty much.
How, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but tell us, were there any countries where you felt really socially ostracized because, and it was difficult for you to say no?
I really would only say Afghanistan, because anywhere else, I was stationed in Italy with the 173rd. I could just go off and go to vegan restaurants. There's lots of vegan restaurants, lots of vegan options there. Mm-hmm. Totally easy to be vegan in Italy. Most other places in Europe, most other places in Asia. But deployed, it's not like I could say like, hey, I'm going to the supermarket now. There was just none of that. Yeah. So you pretty much, you had what you had. And then if you didn't have it, try not to think about it.
Well, you ended up actually doing something very unique to solve this problem, that you were based in Afghanistan and that you needed more vegan sustenance because the food, I'm assuming, just was they were
lacking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just to say it nicely,
for everybody,
lacking. Probably. Oh, nobody was enjoying the food. It basically you had a big plywood shack that was the chow hall, and people were I think we had 2 lower enlisted Marines who were the cooks. They were probably infantry guys that they said, "Hey, now you're a cook."
Oh wow!
Like, so they have. They're opening big cans of stuff and dumping it in a pot, and that's the cooking.
Right. So you probably ate better than most people because you went to a website. Tell us that story of how you actually were able to feed yourself.
I lucked into a website called anysoldier.com, and I put on it just simply, I'm a platoon medic, and my guys need the following things, and there's also a vegan in the group. And then in quotes, me. And I could use some food if anyone wants to send it. And it just blew people's minds that someone would be deployed, go to war, and they would still be worrying about the food that they were going to eat. And they would still be worrying about their commitment to animals under such crazy circumstances.
So what happened?
So the response was nuts. Boxes upon boxes of just random food.
If I'd known about it, I also would have given to you too. I'm sorry.
No.
And then a friend of mine then wrote to Tofurky, and Tofurky started sending me stuff. So I have pictures of me holding the shelf-stable Tofurky in front of a howitzer in the mountains of Afghanistan. It's pretty epic.
Did you share your food?
I did. Most of the stuff I didn't want, but
Oh, really?
but for
Aw.
example, now I
Did they send you Oreos or something, or
No,
just not health food?
they would. I ended up getting a lot of cans of chili,
Uh-huh.
and toward the end, I actually had to tell people, please don't send me any more food because I just had too much, and I whittled it all down pretty much to chili. And even now, when I think about chili, I just get like, and my parents just
enough.
don't get it because my parents love to cook, and they'll cook vegan chili, but I'll say like, no matter what you do, I'm still not gonna want it. I mean,
Right.
I can eat it, you know.
Yeah, but it's just not. That's not something
People
you
probably
pick.
sent that to you because they were so worried about your protein that they felt like
It
they
might have
needed
just
to
been
send,
like
or it was
one
hearty.
random can in each thing. Like I don't
yeah.
think anyone was like, let's just send this dude like 50 cans of chili.
Oh.
It was like one here, one there. But after a whole year, and I'm getting boxes upon boxes, I had from the bottom of from the floor to the top of the hooch, I had just stacks of chili.
That is just.
And I would take a can
so
down, I would
kind.
open it up, I would
I
start
know.
eating, and I'd be like, I
Here we
don't
go
care
again.
about chili anymore.
So,
so-
when you, I just want to go back real
Sure.
quick to when you very first decided to join the Army was right after 9/11. So, I mean, wow, right? You were teaching English in Japan at that
Teaching
time.
English in Japan.
And I mean, I think most of us, including myself, that was not something that I thought I wanted to do. In that most dangerous, frightening time is to run the other way, not towards it. You obviously have a big, kind, gushing heart
Oh,
because
thank you.
you're a vegan, and I barely know you, but I could tell that. I want to hear, like, what inside you woke up or changed in those moments, in those days after 9/11 that had you join the Army.
So I was walking home from work and I got a text on my phone that said something about two big buildings. So this is Japan. It's nighttime. Something
Where in
about-
Japan?
This was Tokyo.
Okay.
Specifically Ogikubo. I was walking back to my apartment. I got a text and I'm like, two big buildings, something that's in kanji, something about fire, something about NYC. And I'm like, and then a friend of mine calls me and is like, you have to get to a TV. You have to watch the news. I'm like, oh, I don't. At that point, I didn't have a TV, so I went to my neighbors and I'm like, can I watch the news? And they're like, you need to see this. And it just blew my mind. I think the fact that I had been living abroad for so long made it especially resonate with me. I that was like year 7 or 8 at that point. I had a very vague, I mean, I was still an American just as much as I am now, and we are, and anyone is, but I really had kind of just the label of what it was to be American, what it was to be anything. Most of my friends were not American. Most of my friends were either Japanese, band-related friends, martial arts-related friends. I spent a lot of time with Brits and other random expats.
So you were a person of the world.
Exactly. So it just took me out of everything. It took me by the throat and pulled me back out of that whole life of everything that mattered to me. And it said, your home is being attacked.
Yeah.
And being vegan at that point, so I had been vegan since 92, and that was 2001. So I'd been vegan for quite some time. And I think at one point I had thought about joining the military pre being vegan, but I didn't want to wear the leather combat boots, and that was like, ew. But now that we were being attacked, I was like, well, maybe that just doesn't matter as much. Maybe I just want to do something to help. And because being vegan, I felt kind of not really into, shooting people or blowing people up. But you know what? I could be a medic, and that would kind of work with the whole vegan and being positive and trying to save the world stuff. And I pretty much made that choice immediately. Oh, I'm going to do something.
Did you
like
have
that.
any medical background?
Nope. I was an English teacher.
So, oh, wow. And, it
Zero.
reminds me of that movie, Heartbreak Hill, right? Where the Andrew Garfield
He
character.
was actually vegetarian. I don't know if you
that
guys
character
got
was
that.
vegetarian?
That person in real life was vegetarian.
Don't know if you saw that movie.
I don't have
It
any
was
idea what you're
actually
talking
a
about.
really good movie.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
on the list.
Of a nonviolent, he was a conscientious objector, but he wanted to serve his country. And so he went in and he would not carry a gun. And so it's really, he wouldn't, but he went in as a medic, right?
He was a
would-
Seventh-day Adventist.
Okay, so
That's a part of the puzzle they don't really play on. And he was vegetarian. They kind of mentioned that, but kind of
Yeah.
not. I felt like that was, to me, because I heard about that guy actually while I was in Afghanistan. Someone sent me through Any Soldier. They were like, you remind me of this guy. He was also a medic and stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
I guess that, well, I mean, no way I could compare myself to him and after reading about him, what he did, but it's
You
pretty
saved
cool
lives
that
too,
it's,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
it's the same idea. I
So
suppose.
where did you go get training, or what did you do next? You sign up for the army and say, "Will you train me?" Or
So
this is incredible.
at that point, I still thought I was gonna maybe join the FBI because I was fluent in Japanese or do something like that to help prevent terrorism. However, to go in the FBI, at least at that point, you had to have lived in America for a contiguous 5 years. I didn't have that, so I would have to come back to America and sit and wait. And I thought, I need to do something now. So then it was either the Marines, because growing up, I had watched Full Metal Jacket, and there was something about that appealed to me, which it's an anti-war movie, but I think almost every guy that watches that, it's like, whoa, I'm going to do this stuff. But somehow Band of Brothers and the whole paratrooper mystique jumping out of perfectly good airplanes caught me, and
So you became a paratrooper,
So I became a paratrooper.
and a medic.
a medic.
But you had been vegan since 1992, so you obviously had this view of nonviolence, at least towards animals. So can you tell us what inspired you in 1992, and was there any relation to what inspired you in 2001?
Probably some of the same, wanting to make the world a better place. I would think it would be come from the exact same place, wanting to save animals and the planet, and then wanting to participate or at least help out in with the world in crisis. Because the idea behind being a medic, I thought, well, I would probably be spending a lot of time helping both American soldiers and the quote-unquote enemy, and which it really ended up working out that way. I don't think I spent as much time bandaging up our own guys as I did working with kids and things like that.
So you're still a citizen of the world, even when you were in Afghanistan, it sounds like. So it was a precipitating event that sent you to Afghanistan. Was there a precipitating event that got you to turn vegan? And did you do it all at once, or were you vegetarian first?
No, I was vegetarian for about 5 months. Basically, what it was is my freshman year of college, my mom was harping on me to give up something for Lent. My family's very, very Catholic. And as kind of, I guess, the only way to put it would be kind of a joke, I said, okay, well, I got an idea. Probably because I really wanted to freak them out. I thought, you guys don't eat meat for just Fridays. It's not really it's really just Fridays, like one Friday or one day a week for an entire 40 days. I'm not going to eat meat for that entire period of time. And the reaction was
And
incredible.
you still have to cook for me, Mom.
Yeah. I was at college, so that wasn't the thing. But the people's reaction was incredible. People said, "Oh, you're gonna die," and all these crazy things. Like nowadays, we would say
malnutrition or lack of protein.
Exactly. Nowadays, that would be a healthy cleanse. People would say, like, "Well, for 100 days, you only drink water and cayenne pepper, or something." But in 1992, people's idea of nutrition was so crazy that they thought not eating meat for 40 days would be my end.
Right.
And as we know, that didn't happen. And instead, I actually felt better. And I was like, whoa, I was studying sociology at the time. I was really into trying to change my life and be the best me and try to figure out what that was going to be. And not eating animals actually became part of that. And because there was no internet at that time, it wasn't like I could just go on a PETA website. I had to get a flyer, and I was like, obviously, all right, I got, after I had been vegetarian for a bit, it kind of stuck with me that, okay, I didn't need to eat meat to live. People thought that I was going to go back to eating meat. They were waiting. Okay, well, now you've done it for this. You've proved your point. Are you going to go? And I was like, I don't really see any need to do it. Maybe I will. I mean, and then kind of gradually it just stuck that, well, why would I? And as I started to read about it, and unfortunately not on the internet, but through books or through pamphlets, I realized there was no reason to go back. And then the longer I did it, I got a hold of some pamphlets that said what dairy was all about. And I actually read about casein and things like that in the dictionary of all places.
What did you read about casein that made you
Well,
think twice
not
about dairy?
specifically casein, but rennet there was an enzyme that you have to take out of a cow's stomach in order to make cheese. And I'm sure nowadays they have truly vegetarian cheeses that don't kill the cow or whatever. But back then, there was just one way, and that was death. They had to kill something in order to get the cheese. And I thought, I kind of jokingly thought, so if you're gonna have a glass of milk, you might as well have a cheeseburger with it. And then I thought, man, I don't want anything to do with this death industry involving meat. Dairy industry kind of sounds similarly bad. I'm just, I just don't need any of it. So in the beginning of that summer of '92, I was pulling the cheese off pizza if someone got a cheese pizza, and I was like, well, okay, as long as I need cheese. And by the end of the summer, I was like, if it touched it, I don't want anything to do with it, and I'm done.
So within 5 months, you went from vegetarian to vegan. And what was the reaction? You were in college then.
It was like somehow...
Because you were even going to die even quicker.
Yeah, somehow the reaction of whatever I got from vegetarian that had plateaued, and now the vegan thing, people didn't even know what the word was.
Right.
It was like I might as well have told them and I was a different type of Martian that they had never heard of. It was pretty nuts.
When you first did it, just for the meat, for those 40 days, and basically everyone around you is indoctrinated already since birth into what I like my friend Dr. Jim Loomis calls bro science, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is based on nothing except for the perpetuation of the marketing of the meat and dairy industry, but that man need meat to survive. Was there something in the back of your mind that said, okay, I'm going to do this for Lent, but gosh, this is going to suck. I am going to maybe get unhealthy, or maybe I'm going to lose muscle mass, or was that in the back of your mind?
Most definitely.
Okay.
And I think even probably through some of being vegan too, that was always when I would get sick, I would say, oh, I wonder if it is, because the doctors would say, oh, you're vegetarian. Now we know why you're caught that cold or something. And I think people, even if when they're vegetarian or vegan for a long time, that's still somewhere in the back there that maybe it was related. But I mean, as we know, the indoctrination and the from the time you're a little kid that it's not only force fed to you, the food is force fed to you, but the ideas and the ridiculous mistruths are as well. And it takes a long time. I mean, in my case, 26 years to be able to completely not think that there's anything to those lies. Mm-hmm. But for people for just a couple of years, they're probably still going to have that indoctrination in the back of their head.
So you said that you do martial arts and you were in the army, and these are cultures that are very macho. What do you tell people when they confront you with, oh, aren't you going to lose muscle and potency, and you're not a man, what do you tell people about that? And do you hear that a lot? Did you hear that a lot when you were in Afghanistan? I bet when you were getting all those boxes of food, you weren't hearing a lot of it.
Because you're sharing, right? You want some chili?
So I think I did hear about some of that while I was in the military, but after basic training, and let me be clear, especially I think some people, when they read some of Vegan Strong, they kind of get the idea that they might think that it's easier than it is. I mean, I think I'm very clear in Vegan Strong that basic training for a vegan sucks. Like, I can't put it any other way. You're training 18 hours a day on under 1,500 calories.
Because you mean you couldn't bring your own food in?
You can't bring your own food in. You're at the mercy of people who are not supposed to be nice to you. That's the whole shtick of basic training. So nobody's catering to you. Yeah, and it's not like
literally.
Exactly. It's not like the horror stories. It's not like the horror story that I thought it would be. In that I thought, someone might try to hold me down and do something like that. No one tries to hold you down and force feed you something. And
Right.
you
It's
you
not
can
like
eat whatever you
frat
want.
initiation. It's
Exactly. You can eat whatever you want. It's just that there's nothing that you would want to eat. So you're always hungry, usually miserable. But after all of that's done, after basic training and after you get through your main specialty school,
Which is how long?
so basic training is about 8 weeks, might be extended now to a little longer. And then I was a medic, and that was a 4 month training.
Mm.
After that, by the time I was in airborne school, and that's 3 weeks, I was back to normal and pretty happy, pretty healthy. And then you really could go wherever you want and eat whatever you want, and I felt great. So I mean, someone could say, and I got a lot of good-natured. I guess good-natured ribbing would be like the PG way to say, like, effing with me about it. But I mean, I was in the military. You have to, that's a place where you have to have a thick skin, and everyone is going to mess with everyone. And that's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so it wasn't really that big of a deal. I had expected that. And people they came with what I thought they would come with, which is, goofy stuff like that. But when you're in better shape than most people, what do you really say to that,
So underneath, you felt that there was a respect that you got eventually, even though
I
there
don't
was
know if they
ribbing.
respect for me being vegan, but a respect for the fact that I was in great shape. So you really can't say anything to
Right.
that. You don't have to like, me or me being vegan, but you respect the fact that, well, there might be something to it if I'm outrunning you.
Yeah.
You could say whatever you want. You could say, oh, you got to eat meat to get bigger. And yeah, I definitely wasn't the biggest guy. I spent a lot of time lifting with people who were bigger than me. I wasn't taking all the supplements either. And some of those guys were benching way more than 300 pounds. And, we're talking, that's all you do is just bulk. But that also wasn't my goal. So
Your brother is a cop,
my brother's
and he is also vegan. Is that
he
correct?
is. That's correct.
Tell us, were you the one who influenced
I
him?
was. I have 1 year on him in veganity.
Oh, so he's been a cop for a
wow.
long time too.
So yeah,
Early.
he's been vegan for way over 20 years. So he's probably at 24, hitting 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
So you're at the VA now, which is why you've been up for 24 hours as you worked all night. And I can only imagine what you see and experience and go through there, and what the guys and the gals that are going through. I have a couple of questions, but what's a typical day like there? Like, you described a little bit about what kind of went on last night. It seems like it would be overwhelming, depressing, devastating. Just nothing comes to mind, pops in my head like, oh, the VA work. We just hear so much bad news on the news. Shocking. I know it's silly, right? Because that's all the news ever tells us about is horrible things. But there's so much on the news about how underfunded the VA is. And
That is
how
100% correct. I feel like I probably have two main complaints about the VA. And not just from me as someone who works there, but also a veteran who gets seen there.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, the underfunding, which practically relates to not having enough staff almost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So my shift last night, we didn't have enough staff. I was in charge of my floor, and I was able, because it wasn't my first quote unquote rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to utilize the staff in the smartest way and get the most bang for my buck, making sure that all patients were safe, all staff were safe. Everyone was overworked and tired and stressed, but not to a point where it was unsafe. However, there was just like too much creativity I had to do, and meant moving patients, doing a whole bunch of switcherooing and positioning people and stuff like that, and changing people's assignments in a way that I really wish I could have just spent my whole shift helping people instead of figuring out like, we'll have you here, nursing assistants will be here, we'll take these two people who need a sitter and then we'll put them together instead of just having these two staff here. Then this one nursing assistant will be able to watch these patients, and I just wish if we had enough staff from beginning, and if we weren't underfunded, is the reason why we have not enough staff is they're coming up with new staffing methodology, which will save the most money, and at every single time make sure that we're just at the point where we don't have enough people. It's kind of like,
But if there's anything that goes kind of wrong, or there's a situation that's more intense than normal, then you're screwed, right? Because you don't have enough staff.
yes, but if it ever gets to the point, at any point, but to be fair to the VA and the hospital, even if you're understaffed, if there's a patient and they're having some difficulty and there's something like, i.e. their breathing or their heart rate or something that you think might affect their life, we can always call what's called a rapid response, which is luckily our hospital and I believe all medicine in general, we don't wait till you have to call a code anymore to get the cavalry there. So we can say, hey, there's something wrong with this patient, TO, then you get 10 different doctors and nurses and people from the ICU come, and then you hash out the case and make sure that that patient is taken care of. However, this is not, that doesn't necessarily affect stuff like a patient just wants some water, but who's going to bring it for him? Or patient needs to be clean, but you have one person for maybe more than 10 people, and they're tired, they're harassed, they're this, that, and the other. So I think basically we need the funding. I don't think we need it necessarily for better buildings. We don't need newer facilities. We just need more staff. And the other thing, which relates to this, is the food.
I was going to ask you about the food.
The food. We have slightly pushed like ever so forward in that. I know that when I was a nursing assistant, I would see patients who just had like a quadruple bypass be given a hamburger for dinner. And that made me nuts. I don't see quite as much as that, just out and out, let's just call it stupidity, for lack of a better word, but it's the food, no matter who you are or what special diet you're on, or even if you have no special diet, you're on a regular diet, able to eat anything, it's all poor. It's all just
processed and salts and
not
low
just
quality.
Processed and salty, but just bad quality. Like stuff that you would definitely not pay money for.
Do they cater to people? Are there vegans who come in, and is there a
a
vegan menu?
There's no menu.
Oh,
It's not like Kaiser or a regular hospital. I think the VA and the government in general need to. I think it's because we're a little bit behind, just like the military is a little bit behind in their thinking. So is the VA behind in that, and not fully embracing what most of medicine is saying now, that there's something to be said for plant-based diet. If cholesterol is what causes all these problems, how about not eating it?
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. And the fact that I think I would be willing to say that probably more than 70% of our patients are in the hospital because of lifestyle-related diseases, i.e.
Doesn't it make more sense for the VA to actually, go after veganism like more wholeheartedly? I mean, it sounds like
you mean in terms of cost?
Well, just in health and just in everything. I mean, it seems like it's the better meal plan, period, than any traditional meals that.
Who are you, Michael? What happened to Michael? Wow! Oh my God!
Well, I mean,
Come over here with us.
No, but when we're talking about being, you're in an unhealthy position, whether your organs are not working properly or you've got issues, you're in the hospital. The last thing you need is a double bacon cheeseburger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
100% agree. To be fair to the VA, I don't think, and hospitals like this in general, I don't think there's that much thought that's going into this. I think they're thinking about one thing and one thing only, bottom line and cost. So produce, I know for us, it's cheap, but for the VA, it comes down to, well, how are they going to store it? Where are they going to store it? What are they going to do? They microwave a lot of their meals.
When you're feeding a lot of people, that's what it comes down to.
So processed, frozen, and then microwaved substandard stuff, is more cost effective. And a lot of that, I I hardly see a vegetable in any of that. It's like, no, it's pretty bad. But I think that's where cost comes in. I think if we weren't trying, and I say we as the American people, that they're trying to cut all costs, and then there's a bigger thing going than just what the VA is doing. It's the VA's given so much money and said, "Hey, see what you can do with this." And I'm like, well.
They go with what they know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
and what's
too-
cheap? I have
yeah.
a nephew that's at the Air Force Academy, who just graduated in his sophomore year. He went vegan, and he's like, I wouldn't be able to survive if I didn't have a car, because it's just, I mean, there is when it's still 92% men or something, and the rest female, and it's just the whole perpetuation of the belief. And even in that age group, right? So he's 19, 20, 21, and all of his friends and all the guys are like, dude, you're nuts, you're gonna die. It's still that conversation that you were having in 92 in some subsects of society, especially the military. And there's not anywhere near enough education for people to understand that there is a lot of strength and power that will come out of
Which is why you
plant diet.
wrote your book, Vegan Strong. Can you tell us a little bit about the book? Because that certainly spreads the word. You are an embodiment of everything that people think can't come from a vegan diet, yet you're
sitting right here in front of us.
And yet here I am.
Yeah. You're still alive, too. This is amazing.
26 years later.
Yeah. So I wrote Vegan Strong purposely like an Army field manual. I wanted to put two things that I think have never been put together before, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to have as much impact. And while there aren't that many vegans in the military, and there aren't that, there might not be that many vegans who even really are interested in the military themselves. So it might be when I first wrote it, I thought, well, so I called it Vegan Strong because when I went back in the reserves, the slogan was Army Strong, and I was like,
oh yeah. I remember that
well,
slogan.
I'll call it Vegan Strong. And then I thought, man, I wonder if they're going to try to sue me over this. Now, luckily,
not a crazy
now
thought.
something strong, or whether it's Vegas strong,
strong.
or country strong, or live strong, or there's like a something strong, for probably a banana strong. That became a thing. So they really can't target me. Number one. Number two, I wanted it to have the most whatever the typical stereotype was about what we are, which is obviously completely false. The whole we're skinny hippies and we're unhealthy and blah blah blah. That was never my experience, other than the starving and basic training, where yes, I was skinny and unhealthy in that period. That 3 months was very unfun.
That's only because you didn't get the proper vegan food.
Exactly. Had I been catered to, which again, I guess the military is, especially through basic training, that's the whole point, that you're not catered to. But had I eaten enough, I probably would have really enjoyed most of that time, because what is it? What's basic training about? It's about lots of working out and shooting guns and
being yelled at.
and being yelled at, but at the same point,
camaraderie.
It's a lot of camaraderie, and the being yelled at part. There's a point to that. It's that
Preparation.
you're trying to prepare someone for stress, and like last night at work, someone was screaming in my face. Some one of my coworkers was stressed because we were having him clean too many beds and stuff like that.
Oh,
I
God.
just couldn't be stressed out about that. There's just nothing stressing
It seems
me.
that it kind of for someone like you who wants to be a better person, as you said when you were in college, that the Army you knew was going to make you a stronger, better person, and that's why it had such a positive effect on you, except for that you were a little hungry during basic training.
Yeah.
So Vegan Strong, who is it aimed to? Is it aimed to the non-vegan who wants to be the stereotypical soldier, or is
I think I wrote it for everyone. I had originally started to write it in the since I call myself Sergeant Vegan, since I was a sergeant and I'm vegan, I started to come up with a character, what Sergeant Vegan would talk like, and what Sergeant Vegan talk like was pretty much like how I talked as a sergeant. However, I soon realized that people probably could not handle Sergeant Vegan as he actually was, because I only have one chapter that I actually talked, that's written like I actually talked like as Sergeant Vegan, which was pretty rough, lots of F words, mostly F words, and I realized because my mom told me, she's like, hey, all of this profanity is gonna start to distract from your message, which is pretty positive, which is just eat healthy, try to be a better person. Then I thought about it, like, well, you know what? You're probably right, and this is less Sergeant Vegan and more who I am as an RN, which is let's try to help you be healthier. Let's try to help you be better, a better you. And so, who is Vegan Strong for? It's for everyone. It's for vegans who ever thought about, hey, maybe it's a little difficult to be vegan in LA. Well, maybe I'll show you how hard it can really be in the rest of the real world. Or maybe you just want to read, because there's a lot of interviews with many different types of people. There's a lot of different stories and a lot of different voices, and that's interesting. And then I think it tells a different story about what vegan is than mainstream America might be getting from just watching TV or some of the snide comments you get. And people who might be interested in changing their health and want to read about veganism, but don't necessarily want the typical, hippie book that I've seen out there. Because my book, I've taken a lot of the propaganda out on purpose, because I think it distracts from the message that being vegan and eating healthy, it's the best for your health, it's the best for the planet, and obviously it's the best for the animals because we're not killing them for no good reason.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And I know that's gotten a very, very good reception. And you have spoken on a lot of programs, including NPR, and a lot of great, because people are very interested in this. What they normally saw were two things that don't usually come together, which is vegan military, a paratrooper. And the traveling that you've done since, is that your next project? What's coming up for you?
So I've been trying to travel, and my goal is to eventually go to every country on Earth.
And how many are there? 140?
No, I think we're at 200 and some change.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, where have you been? I didn't know I was even going to try and guess.
That was before the breakup of the Soviet Union,
Yeah.
I guess.
Luckily, parts of Europe, parts of South America, you can pick up a whole bunch. I mean, there's a couple that you could drive through, and it's like driving through.
Right.
But
States here.
States,
Yeah.
exactly.
Even just the Caribbean islands, I mean, I picked up 5. Those were all their own countries.
Yeah.
Right. Have you gone to
Originally
the
settled
Caribbean?
by the British or French.
You could
but
go
now
on the
they're-
cruise that she went on and get.
Got 5. Yeah. Just rock it out there.
Yeah.
It was just 5 days.
I would love, and if anyone's listening to this who has the power to make this happen, I would love to become like the vegan Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, thank God.
Which I'm
Okay.
sure I'm giving someone an idea. So hey, credit me when you hit that success.
So you'd like to travel and show people the wonderful vegan options and plant-based lifestyle that's possible, that exists
would
all
love
around the
to.
world. Yeah. Well, in terms of your travel, since
amazing.
you've traveled to so many places, is there a restaurant or a food that you've encountered that has just been really special to you? If somebody travels somewhere that you want to recommend, or maybe it's right here in LA.
Well, see, I think LA is one of the best places on earth to be vegan. Like, bar none. New York is great. Portland is awesome. Some places in Europe are good too, but let's face it. I mean, LA is number one for a reason. Now, you could throw a rock in any direction, you're going to hit a vegan place, and it's probably not going to be bad.
Right, yeah. And did you live in LA in 92?
No, I'm from
okay.
Philadelphia originally.
Oh, okay. So
Go
because
Eagles.
It seems like
I went to college there.
LA has become the mecca for not only headquarters of animal rights organizations, but then also restaurants that people want to try, because we have so many different ones, high end to fast food.
I really think that the future of vegan is not necessarily in the high end. I think that excludes a lot of people, and I think better medium to lower end, where people, for example, Beyond Meat now has options at Del Taco. There's only 2 locations. There's one in Santa Monica and there's one in Culver City where I live.
Stop it.
Wow.
Yes. So you could get Beyond Meat
Taco?
avocado tacos, i.e., they took out the cheese and they've already subbed the avocado for you.
They don't put in diet cheese or anything? They just have no cheese?
No cheese but avocado.
Uh-huh,
Usually
okay.
you have to pay extra for that. I think their deal is $2 for $5. 2 soft or like hard shell.
Wow.
That's the kind of thing that's going to make
how they're-
vegan
No doubt.
pop.
Yes.
It's not so much the like super frou-frou, $50 to $70 a plate. You get like 2
Oh my
pieces
God.
of lettuce and a,
Right.
and a celery stalk. I mean, because that
No,
stuff
but
exists.
let me just tell you
Well,
what I feel about that. My analogy with that is the Tesla for electric cars. Everyone thought electric cars were just these golf carts until Tesla made a car that was better than
hip.
any car.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
then
I agree with that.
all of a sudden
and it's
electric was
expensive.
Yeah, it was pulled along.
Yeah.
And now electric cars don't have that. It's sort of like actually an analogy to veganism is that it doesn't have that reputation that it had of being wimpy. Crossroads, for example, or Little Pine, they've helped people see that it can be good food, not just vegetables.
True.
Yeah, and decadent and gorgeous and satiating
Yeah.
and beautiful and all of the things. But we need both.
We need
You guys
both.
are
We need
both
it
like
all.
spot
Agreed.
on.
And
so
I am
right.
more about the cheap. I'm not into the small plates with the.
No.
You cook way more.
Yeah.
I mean, than you go out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I don't go
Yeah.
out much at all. Yeah,
But I think a thing like
just here.
Apparently, because there's only 140 countries.
I think a place like Veggie Grill, I mean, it's not super duper cheap, but that's the kind of place that is going to get more people. When you bring somebody to Veggie Grill, they're like, "Oh, this is normal. I don't see vegan. I don't feel like I'm being a caught. They
Yeah.
can let their guard down." Then they're like, "But it kind of tastes like but
Yeah.
that's what. But it says I thought you were bringing me to a vegan spot." And that's the reaction.
But I got
Yeah,
my
no, you're
hamburger.
right.
Yeah, my
Exactly.
husband,
You do a
who
good
is
job.
not vegan, that's his favorite restaurant, Veggie Grill. Oh yeah, he loves Veggie Grill. So
I love the
that's
buffalo
cool. Your
strips.
point exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what chips away at that silly shell that people have that keeps them from fully embracing a plant-based lifestyle, and that they just feel like they just can't do it. It won't taste as good. There'll just be something lacking about it. Whereas,
Always, that's the thing, right?
yeah. And to be fair to them, yeah, I mean, from 92 to I don't know how long, I was, not eating delicious food, and I was just sucking it up because I'm like, well, I'm not gonna stop believing in something just because it's uncomfortable for me or I'm inconvenienced.
But
Because
that
for
wasn't
you, it
the
wasn't
vegan
about
food.
you.
That was the
No.
fact that our culture didn't embrace it and make
Well,
it.
yeah, and then I didn't know how
Per
to cook,
se.
so
Yeah,
it was
right.
partly my fault too, I suppose.
Yeah. So where can people get your book, and then where can they find you if they just want to follow you on social media or a website or something?
So I'm on social media. I'm easily found at sergeantvegan.com. That's sgtvegan.com.
You've never told anyone this before, have you?
Nobody can spell sergeant anyway.
Well, yeah.
I know.
It's good that you shortened
So
it.
many people, when they say Sergeant Vegan, they spell it wrong or spell it S-A, and it's like it's SERGANT. So why do they get it
Good that
wrong? At the same point, who cares? As we always abbreviate SGT anyway. So that's
sgtvegan.com. Okay. All right.
the other way is SGT_vegan on Instagram. And then, so for a longest time, I did a blog on YouTube called Vegan Road Trip, and I still do Vegan Road Trip. That's what I'm called on Facebook. And that was basically me as Sergeant Vegan traveling around and being like, oh, hey, here I am in France. What are we going to find vegan options here? Or Switzerland and this, that, and the other.
Oh, great. So people can find you there too.
Yeah. And the book is on Amazon.
Okay.
Everything's on Amazon now. So
The whole wide world.
Vegan
right?
Strong.
Click.
vegan strong all day
Excellent.
long.
Excellent.
Go get
Thank
it.
you so much for
Thank you
being
very
on our
much for having me.
podcast. We
This
really
was awesome.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for staying up for the full 24 to come spend time
Totally
with us.
worth it. I would do
Good.
it again.
You'll come back then. Maybe
Good.
you'll
I will.
come back rested next time. It'll just feel better to you,
Excellent.
but
That
you're
would-
awesome.
It would be interesting to have the interviews side by side and to see which is better, which is Sleepy Bill, or maybe I'd be
You know what?
too.
I have a feeling you're going to be great
Yeah.
both times.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
a
Thank you very
ton.
much.
All right.
This was awesome.
Cool.
So thank you so much for tuning in today. If we helped you in any way, then click the subscribe button and let's keep hanging out together. We have so much more to share with you.
And if you need more information on actually making the switch for good, please visit us at switch4good.org for loads of info. And you can subscribe to our mailing list where you will receive all sorts of super cool gifts, discount codes to our very fave dairy-free products, and a lifetime of powerful health tips.
So join us on the journey to Switch for Good. This is the future.